Well, hello again, my friends. We are now looking at the last PowerPoint of this unit lesson, which is Unit Lesson 3, Managing Employees and Your Career. And we're going to look at motivating the workforce. All right, you got that great job. You're managing your career, and now you are certainly in leadership positions. How do you keep your workforce motivated? How do we keep motivated, my friends, to do our jobs every day? I love this from Simon Sinek, which is Start With Why. And what this says is your customers will never love your company until your employees love your company. They'll never love your product until your employees love your product. And that is so true. What we have in the workforce, hopefully, what we have when we get up in the morning is that high morale. That is just a positive attitude toward both your job and your organization. I love my job. Now, we did read in a few PowerPoints ago that 70% of most employees do not like their job. And so how can you change this for the employees and the people that are going to work for you? Human relations, that's just how we relate to each other in the workplace. So is our morale high? Is our human relations high? Are we enjoying what we do? I sure hope you find the career that is going to provide this for you, my friends. Let's look at a few things. What is motivation? Again, basics of psychology and sociology. It's that inner drive. We have needs, we have action, we have a reward. The needs can be either physiological or psychological, and we know, certainly in the marketing world, that the psychological needs are very strong. They drive you to do the things you do. Action is what we do to fulfill that need. All right, we need that, have that job. We go to work, and hopefully the reward is positive. It can be positive or negative reinforcement in the motivation, which means if it's positive, we do that action again. If it's negative, we find a different route. Now, if we have taken psychology or sociology, perhaps we are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Again, we had a lot of industrial psychologists come to the front of the line, so to speak, in the workforce right after World War II. We were amping up. We were creating so many different businesses, lots of manufacturing, and it became apparent because, hey, during the Great Depression, people just were working for food and working for money. That was it, and they were very highly motivated. Well, we had, some very good times throughout those 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and maybe up until this moment in time right now, where people want a little bit more than just the basics. So let's look what Maslow. He had a hierarchy of needs. What he believed their motivation changes. Well, we have to have physiological needs. That's the food, shelter, clothing. It's the very bottom of his hierarchy. We've got to have food in the belly, a roof over our head, clothes on your back. You got to live to fight another day. And the one thing about Maslow's hierarchy, it is very fluid. You can be up that hierarchy, or you could be at this need. And right now, a lot of us are, examining this again. We're trying to have food for our family. Again, March 2020, the coronavirus is hitting very hard. Possibly by Monday, March 23rd, the state of Texas goes into a lockdown. I tell you, I was at Kroger at 6 a.m. this morning in a line of about 20 or 30 people to get in as the store opens, and just trying to find those final things of food that I thought I needed and I got before we go into a lockdown. If we do, I mean, that fear is a very strong motivator, my friends. Don't ever underestimate that. And I think we're kind of in a fearful state, but we won't be there for long. Do we need more than just this? Yeah, we see so much of the world's population is just struggling right in there every day. But Maslow said, hey, once people have their basic needs, physiological needs met, they want more. And so this is where you come in as a manager. All right, we have safety needs next. We like to feel safe. We like to feel safer in our career. So stability in that career, money in the bank, a nice steady paycheck, and set work schedules. Those employees that seem to have the most amount of stress are shift workers, where they may have to work different shifts throughout the week. Perhaps it's a morning shift, it's an afternoon to evening, or very late night to early morning. And that does make people, they don't feel very safe. So, as a manager, what can you do to provide your employees with safety needs? Oh my God, right now, we're all wondering how safe we are at work. Again, in the midst of this pandemic, should we be at work? Should we work at home? That's really driving through the workforce. As I did feel bad for the people who worked at Kroger this morning that opened up, I thank them, and just I can see the angst on their face that they're having to meet our needs to get the things that we want in food and sundries and etc. So safety needs. We're looking at these two right now in the world of this pandemic, and they're very, very strong. Well, beyond safety, all right, you've got the job. Your employee has that job. Those first two needs are being met. Do people want more? In our society, yes, social needs. It's deep. It's deep in our DNA to want to belong to a group. And so that's what social needs are. Give and receive that appreciation. When you have the opportunity to do that, it needs to be done as a leader, that employees feel that they're very, very much needed and wanted. That sense of belonging, again, we are very social people, and we want our work to mean more than something. We want to be a part of the team. Remember, nobody wants to work for someone who is just trying to build their resume on their employees' work. And I think you'll find many times that social needs are usually more powerful than just extra money given to you at the end of the month. Now, we all want that extra money, but if you can supply your employees and make them feel that they belong and their work is important, that is a very, very powerful motivator. We have a few more steps here in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Esteem. Oh, what the world suffers from is a lack of self-esteem. This means that sense of self-worth and integrity. The work has to be important. I want to accomplish something larger than myself. Perhaps I want to manage meaningful projects. I bet some of your employees would like to do that. Helping others, leading groups of people. The esteem needs very, very powerful for all employees to have. And so again, how can you get that in your career right now? And then how can you give that to the people that are going to be following you? Isn't that great? What matters most is how you see yourself. Are you this or are you that? Excellent illustration of self-esteem. Well, you're asking the question, is there another level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? There it is. Self-actualization. We like to think of this as the nirvana in Maslow's needs. Now, if you saw that first picture, Maslow's is a triangular in shape. Not everyone makes it to the self-actualization. It's a small group, but I want it to be you. The need to become everything you can be. Sometimes, and then you get a job that you almost feel guilty about getting paid for because you love it so much. You're an expert, you're a mentor. This is where you can definitely say you have found your calling in life. As you examine Maslow's, you can see where are we. Remember, it is fluid, it's dynamic, and it can go down and can go right back up. So that is our great lesson from Abraham Maslow. Were there other industrial psychologists that were trying to motivate the workplace? Absolutely. And these are the theories that we have. We have Mr. Hertzberg. He had two-factor theory. And this may be interesting. Yeah, is this going to be the future of work right in here? Okay. Two factors that help define if someone's really enjoying their job. Hygiene factors, that is the working conditions. Okay, the company policy, the job security. Kind of like those lower levels of Maslow right in here. And this is not a bad way as you start looking at your career exploration. Again, what kind of conditions do you want to work for? Do you want to have a rigid company policy? Do you want to work for a startup company? Do you want to have that great job security from a big, large organization that you're not going to get paid great, but you're always going to have a good, steady paycheck and retirement? Or do you want to work with in sales on straight commission where you could, hit six figures very quickly? You might try that as you're looking at your job exploration. The motivators for Hertzberg were achievement, recognition, responsibility. This says, I like my job, I'm satisfied or I'm not satisfied. This says, hey, I want to excel in my job because I can have achievements done, I have recognition, I'm given responsibility, I'm able to grow. So Maslow's higher level of needs. Douglas McGregor came out with his theory X and Y. And basically, these are managerial theories. He believed that managers fall into two different categories. Theory X. Theory X is about getting the work done. And if we were in a manufacturing type of job where you were the foreman or the supervisor and you had to get so many products done per day, you can see why this comes in. You have to have extrinsic rewards, which means if you produce well, you get paid well. And the opposite is true. If you don't produce, then you may get fired. So we use fear and authority in that theory X. Unfortunately, so much of theory X has transferred into the entire workforce. This type of manager is rigid rules. I need you here at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Where I'm not giving you. I want to see you at work. I don't care what you do, even if you work better online, you got to be here. No exceptions. I'm looking at quantity. I don't care if you like me or if you love me or if you don't. I want you to get it done. Unfortunately, the question remains, why are so many managers like this? Well, how hard is it to be like that? It's pretty easy, isn't it? We have a lot of managers who have not gone through the training that we're going through right now with our 5 keys of success. And they've been promoted and really don't know their job. And so we kind of use that fear and authority and intimidation so we don't get called out. That's theory X. Well, Douglas McGregor also had theory Y. The theory Y manager is the one who wants to use creativity, wants his or her employees to become growth. She wants you to have self-direction. This type of manager is flexible. What are they doing? They're creating win-win environments. The relationship building. They're allowing the employee to develop and set their own projects. Now, not every job gets this, but definitely these are the careers that is going to require that professional degree. All right. And so which one do you want to become? I'm hoping we're sticking with theory Y. I didn't say theory X was not effective, because it is. It just does not produce the greatest results as a theory Y manager would. When someone, again, not only buys into the plan you have given them, but owns it, takes ownership of their job, great results happen, my friends. Does anybody remember this gentleman? This is Dan Price. He is the CEO of Gravity Incorporated. They are a credit card processing company, and I believe in the Washington State area. And he's the gentleman that started paying all of his employees in 2015 $70,000 a year, whether you just graduated high school or you had your MBA and you were working as a marketing director or accounting or finance or IT. Basically, he either read a newspaper article or I believe it was one of his employees. They both kind of hit him at the same time, where he said, I'm going to have a great weekend as everybody's leaving. And the young girl said, I bet you're going to have a great weekend. You make over $1 million a year. She says, do you know where I'm going now? I'm going to my second job. I can't even afford to have my own apartment at what you're paying me. It takes at least $40,000 to $50,000 in this area to even have a semblance of a life. And that really hit him hard. And he went home thinking, my gosh, here I am thinking I'm the best person manager in the world, owner, CEO of a startup company, and many of my employees can't even make a decent wage to have a decent living. came back on Monday morning and said everybody gets 70 grand because he thought at least 70,000 could get you a pretty good lifestyle. Now, when this happened, every conservative talk show like Fox News and Fox and Friends and you name it said, "Oh, you're a communist. That high school employee, that 20-year-old shouldn't get 70,000. You're taking all their motivation away. They'll never work hard. This is going to backfire on you." He took a lot of crap for that. And he said, "No, I don't think it will. I think if you treat people well and you pay them very well, you're going to get great results." Well, 3 years later, their customer growth went to 80%. Their profits were at all-time high. And now we're in 2020. Well, of course, before the latest things happen that we're dealing with right now, the same amount of success has happened. The average pay for every person is $120,000 a year. Dan has a in-house daycare center, so his employees can take their children if they need to, the young children to daycare. It's amazing. He says, my biggest problem that I have is that I have to tell my employees to go home because they are so motivated to work so hard that they don't want to leave. And they tell me that. They say, "You've done so much for us. I can't just leave right now. I don't mind putting in the 10-hour days. This is a great place to work." It does work, my friends. Treating people well, probably the theory why. And if I had to guess, he probably grabbed my 5 keys of success and has done very well. We can learn a lot from Dan Price, and I hope you are able to be like that and to work for a company that really, really values the employee experience. Theory Z. Now, got to have an X, got to have a Y, and we got to have a Z. All right? This was a study of Japanese and United States management, again, back in the 60s and 70s. And this was the involvement that the Japanese mentality was, let's treat people like family, and that way they will become more responsible for their outcomes and efforts. So very much a standardized pay scale and work schedule. And what we got out of this was the self-directed work teams. It didn't have to say, "Hey, Ezra, you're going to be the boss right now, and we'll set you up with a managerial position, and Randy and Noah and a few others are going to go ahead and work under you." They just basically said, "Hey, you 7 people, you're in the team, and the leader will automatically rise from that." And it did. It brought in quality circles and participative management. And that is what Theory Z is from. Now, there's something called the equity theory. It's just out there, my friends. It's really not a managerial theory, but I think it's something you need to be aware of because we tend to do this a lot, don't we? We tend to examine our work versus a coworker's work. Well, I know I'm working harder than anybody else, and how come they get paid more than I do? I should be paid more. That is, we look at this is what we think we're doing, and we should have the exact outcome. So, be careful of that, because when I say be careful, employees are going to judge each other, and that's something I think you'll have to fight very hard to manage. And you'll need all of your managerial and psychology skills, and the best way to handle that is let's not talk about what Randy is not or not doing. Let's focus it on you. I'll worry about Randy. Okay? And then there's the expectancy theory. Yes, that's what I do, and this is what I should get. Again, if you can give employees responsibility, they will expect an increased reward, but it will also certainly increase their motivation as an employee for you. How do we reinforce all this behavior? I mean, this is the psychology aspect here. We do have 2 ways to do it. We don't want to go back and forth. We have the positive reinforcement. Those are pleasant consequences. The praise, the bonuses, the dinners, the things that you can do for them. And, as a manager, as a leader, you may not be able to increase someone's pay as much as they would like to, but you may be able to give time off. And in this crazy workplace that we do survive in, many times if you can give just someone and say, "You know what, take the weekend off, take Thursday and Friday off, I have it covered for you, your work is that great," that means a tremendous amount. Look what you can do. You may be constrained by resources, but if you can do that, it really helps. There's negative reinforcement too. These are the unpleasant consequences that people want to avoid, and that is fear of losing a job. I don't think it's great to go back and forth here. Sometimes this has to be used, but this is just going to come from your experiences, my friends, over your workforce. You may not feel comfortable the first year or two as a managerial position, but as the more experience you have, the better you'll be able to make some of these decisions. Hey, anyone have to work for this type of person? Well, don't worry, you will. There, it is a very interesting time in the workforce, and I think we've all worked for an a-hole. How do we manage that? Because it can drive you crazy if you do. And of course, we're not going to be that type of a person, are we? Not our type of management style. But, you may be in a situation where you've got that as a boss. What do we do? All right, and that's from Office Space. Survival Guide. This is an actual book that I will tell you, I'll give you the title of here in a few more slides. There is something to say, is there a certifiable a-hole test? There is. Hey, can we all be a jerk? Yes, we can. And sometimes we lose our cool, we lose our patience, we lose our temper, and usually after that we can't believe what we just did. But if we want to find if we're literally working for a certifiable a-hole, they're consistently a jerk across a long time frame. This is the telltale sign. They will always abuse their powers at all levels, especially below them. If somebody has more power than you do, they'll let you know it, and it's very apparent. They just make you feel terrible when you see them. In fact, they're very disingenuous with others, which means they'll smile and say, "Hey, how you doing? I'm so great," but you know how they really are. And if you have no power, people with very little power are treated like dirt. Sometimes they'll surprise you. Sometimes you can be in an all-time high and they'll just pop that balloon from you. Now, I am not a boastful person, but last year I did win what is called the Chancellor's Exemplary Award for Teaching. It is the highest honor that the college gives upon any faculty member. Each campus has one winner. It was a surprise to me. I was floored when at our giant company breakfast, it was awarded to me, and I went up on stage and I got my award, and I'm literally walking in a daze, and people are congratulating me. And there was a lot of students who helped, who wrote recommendation letters on my behalf. So I'm standing there. This is the highest moment I've ever had in my career. And then somebody I knew, another faculty member from a different department, comes up, whispers in my ear, "Oh, well, Randy, if you won this award must mean nothing, all right? I mean, God, anyone could win it." And then walked off. Well, for the next hour, I stood in a corner crying my heart out. And then it occurred to me, my gosh, you were really one of these right here. And you finally told me. They will make you feel very bad at all sorts of moments, my friends. Okay, so how do we survive in an a-hole world? Okay, there's a survival guide right here. You have to assess the problem because you've got to keep your mental stability. Let's see. We talked about power. If they have the same or less power than you, then you're okay. If they're a coworker, you can tell them to shut up. You can push back and stand your ground. Okay? And if you have more power in the situation, well, like if they're an employee, well, you want to terminate them, and you have reason to because it's called insubordination. So, or if you have more power and they're an employee in a different area, you just go say, look, you need to correct that real quick. If they have legitimate power, now there's two really basic types of power in the workforce. There's legitimate, which means I'm your boss, you have to do this, and there's something called referent power. Referent power is people respect you so much that they go to you because they know you have a good answer and you can help them with something. which I think is the best power to have. If someone like a boss, a director, VP, or president, then we've got to develop some strategies. Now, this certainly happened to me, not with just a coworker there, because I'd basically the next day uh, rip them a new one. No, I didn't do that, but I just stayed away from them. I said, okay, I know who you are, and I will not give you the time of day anymore. But on this one, it's different. So, what can we do? And of course, this is important right in here. Is the organization an a-hole producing factory? That's very possible because this the corporate culture. Then you have to figure out how long can you take it, my friends? How long can you survive there? So the strategies. Leonardo da Vinci said it's much easier to get out earlier than later. And if you think of about what Leonardo da Vinci, who he worked for, he pretty much worked for the rulers of the world, for popes, for kings and queens, and so he has some good advice. If the situation is bad, get out early because it's so much more difficult to get out later. Hey, if we've been in work for a few years, we don't want to lose our tenure, our retirement, our promotions, and so you have to see very quickly how long you can survive. If it's one of those a-hole producing factories. Here's strategies. Can you avoid the person? Can you limit your face-to-face time with them? Can you just do email correspondence? And I say right in here, do not text, which means I don't like to give any executive, administrative personnel my phone because you're not paying for my phone, and so I don't want to give you my number so you don't have access to me. Limit their access that they have with you, and the email correspondence is only through the company email. If you have to meet with them and you are on a project, try a standing meeting. That means there's no chairs. Once this, I did that again, didn't I? Once this person grabs a root, sits down and plants a root, you can't get rid of them. Standing meetings will take 1/3 of the time of a regular meeting, and they are just as productive, if not more productive. And so instead of an hour meeting, you can get down to 20 minutes with standing. And if you have to run it, miss meetings. And you may have to assess that situation. I did. And sometimes you find different routes to get to your car. You park differently, where you try to limit that exposure as much as you possibly can. Again, the strategies here. Build relationships at work. Usually people will feel the same, and it helps support each other. And again, sometimes I've had to do this as well. I've gone to meetings with other people because they felt intimidated by somebody else, and I said, well, I'm his or her mentor. And so once that happened, the person didn't have to go to the meetings. Rarely was a meeting called because the person was just trying to lord their power over them. At some point you can fight back, and that's what you have to deal with. I will not be treated this way. You are creating a hostile work environment. Those right now are the hardcore buzzwords in the HR scene that get people really scared. Again, this is kind of your last resort right in here. And some of you, may be thinking, well, Randy, aren't you just enabling the person to continue their behavior? And it depends, especially the higher level they are. If they're at vice presidential routes and above, yeah, I don't think anything you do is going to change their behavior. You just got to hope that they use that same behavior with their boss, and then their boss gets tired of that. And that's usually what does happen. So, detoxify yourself. Have something else to look forward to. Some of the biggest reason I wanted you to do your business model was that you had a side business. That when 5 o'clock, I'm gone, or whatever the time is, and I am doing my own idea. All right? I want a fun job, or maybe you have a part-time job instead. Volunteer, hobbies, build that social network of yours and that professional network so you can get out easier than without one. So these are some very good ways and to detoxify yourself, some strategies when you have someone that's just unbearable to work for. And here it is. This is the book. Robert Sutton is a PhD Stanford professor, business management professor. This has been in the Harvard Business Review, so it's not just something we're making up. It's how to deal with people who treat you like dirt. He has a previous book called The No A-Hole Rule, and that's his survival guide. It is a classic. I would definitely suggest you buy it because it will help you throughout your career. Because, friends, we're going to deal with these people, and this gives you some great strategies of how to deal with them and literally how to protect yourself.